Welcome, 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 friends, to Sanctuary Online. And we are now Sanctuary North. Cheryl and I officially made our 3-day trek up north, and we're living in Michigan for the summer. And we've left Barb and Ken and Tom and all the puppies and all the four-leggers down there in the hateful heat of the Texas state. Sorry about that, Barb, but
not today.
I know, and you guys got a big storm. I know, we saw the storm coming through on our apps. We're like, yay! Cheryl's app said, thunder reported 2 miles from your home. And we're like, oh, Maynard. So, yeah, so we're excited to be up here. It was always tough. We say it's always tough to leave, and it's always good to be up here taking care of my mom. My mother is 93 years old, lives in the house that I grew up in. This is my childhood bedroom that was now my studio in my office. Cheryl's at the kitchen table. Mom has her headset on watching Wheel of Fortune or God knows what, you know, being a mom. But she's a badass. She lives alone most of the time until we come up here and do honeydews all summer for her. So it's a blessing. She's a block off the lake, and it's a good, cooler life for the summertime. And then we'll pop down back to Sanctuary in the fall. Anyway, you all know that we're on our summer schedule, which means we are book clubbing it because you all are persistent readers. And hopefully tonight, if you have any books you wanted to suggest for the rest of the summer, I'm going to ask you to put them in the chat. And while you all are chatting about this month's book, I'll look them up and I'll do a little promo for you, commercials at the end tonight, so we can choose maybe July, maybe even July and August if you want to. I will also tell you to mark your calendars for 2 weeks from now, July 12th. I know most of you know this as a national Eat Your Jell-O Day, right? You know that?
No.
It's absolutely Eat Your Jell-O Day. It's National Simplicity Day. And we are doing Sanctuary Kitchen. And it's gonna be my honor to do one of my favorite dishes. I'm going to marinade overnight and then grill 2 pork tenderloins with a nice couple of different vegetable options that are easy to grill. It's National Simplicity Day. And then Ken is going to be adding his special Coke salad. If you're from the South, you'll understand that. If you're not from the South, you're like, what? Anyway, I don't want to break any bubbles or burst your bubbles, but put yourself down 2 weeks from now, July 12th, Sanctuary Kitchen for grilled pork tenderloin and a couple of different ways to do grilled vegetables that are all simple. And I will say the Coke salad sort of is in line with the National Eat Your Jell-O Day. So I'm just gonna say, all right. Cheryl, tonight you were doing a favorite book of mine, one of my favorite books. The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, right, by Dan Millman. I love that book, and this is the only book in 2 years that you've taken my suggestion and chose to read. So I hope you guys have a fabulous conversation tonight. All yours, hon.
All righty. So, did you guys read this whole book? Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. Kelly was texting me and saying, well, I don't know about this book a couple of times. So I was
and watch the movie. There's a movie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Where can you find the movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got it at the library.
All right, that's worth looking at.
Okay.
Isn't it okay? Haven't been you telling us where the crawdads sing? Y'all remember that you read that book a while ago? That's now, it's either out or it's coming out, right?
July 15th.
Oh, I cannot.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Remember the twisty ending? Ooh, I can't wait. But you know what's weird? Having read that book and having seen it all in my mind, watching the trailers, you know, the teasers, I'm like, I wonder if that was how I picture these people. So, yeah, it was fun. It's fun.
It was
anyway.
Close for me.
Pardon?
It was pretty close for me. I was surprised.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm excited about that movie coming out. That was one of my favorite books that y'all have read completely.
All right. So this is kind of a lot different book than we read the last month. And the thing, I don't know, there's a lot about it, but the thing that struck me was it seemed like every few pages I could find a really interesting idea a quote almost from something, and that I thought, oh, that's an interesting idea. And so one of the things I wanted to do after we talk about what you feel like the gist of the book was or how you feel about it, is maybe we'll just, if you guys know of any of these quotes or anything like that, let's just say one, and then we'll talk about that particular one, what that meant to us and something, okay? If you guys are cool with that. But first, what'd you take from this book? What was your big takeaway or your strongest feelings about it? The gist of the book, whatever.
It was a spiritual awakening book. And it reminded me of books that I've read in the 70s that were quite prevalent, where you had a master and a student. It really brought to mind the writings of Richard Bach in this book, Illusions.
Yes.
It was the same structure. Yeah. And so I love the book because I love that type of reading.
Yeah. Okay. Has anybody else read Illusions by Bach? Yeah. Yeah, that's it's a very good book like that. Very similar.
It's structured the same.
Yeah, structured the same with kind of a master and a student.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Teaching. So
I'm quite sure whether the book was about enlightenment or it was a science fiction book or what. It really was confusing to me. I mean, like all of a sudden he's flying in the air and stuff like that. And I'm like, every once in a while I get a quote, like you're saying, Cheryl. I'd see something and I'd even go and highlight it in the book. But then he never made anything from that quote. And I don't really get how the guy even grew from what he learned from the master, because it didn't follow any path to me. It was very disjointed in my view.
Yeah.
Well, some of that creative license, like in the beginning when he's, up on the roof and down on the ground right away, it was his way of getting his attention. He had to do something dramatic to get Dan's attention. That's what I took from it.
But he has the power to have the guy fly over the gymnastics meet. I mean,
and that was another. Well, it's all symbols to me. We can go through the book, but that was.
Well, that wasn't clear to me, so it was very confusing. I couldn't quite decide if it was a science fiction book. I thought it was sort of like Rocky.
But you're nodding the same way. What did you?
And when they went up into the mountains and he died.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure that one out. And I also was he sure had a lot of problems. I mean, he seemed to have a lot of problems. And he just kept going on and on and on and on and on. And the mountain thing was confusing to me. I wasn't sure what that was all about. But I feel the same way, Kelly.
And then he died. I can't say his name, the master, Socrates, died. And then all of a sudden, poof, he's back. And so I started wondering, well, is Socrates a person in his head that his own guiding person, own guiding spirit, And, because that's who bugs you all your life, is your own guiding spirit. Doesn't let you go. Yeah. So I don't know. I was very confused, but maybe if you'd read something similar in a different age where people were thinking differently, it wouldn't have been so confusing.
Yeah.
It makes me want to see the movie.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I got to figure that out.
Yeah, that would be a good way to maybe reconcile some of that. I mean, for me, I thought a lot of it was visions that he sent him on, basically, or, visualizations or guided imagery type of stuff, that kind of thing that he went on. But that's just what I felt, I don't know.
How do you make someone do that? Like it required no effort from him.
Well, there are people with that kind of ability that can inspire you to do that. I mean, even like hypnotists, Kelly, that can take you into some of those places. So I think it was kind of that sort of, that would be
that was the idea.
That's my take on it. I don't know. What about?
Oh, he came into my office and I hypnotized him, or I made him meditate, and so I could take him on this spiritual journey. I mean, I know people who, like, I had a pretty deep relationship with someone who believed in what's called ek and body. I can't remember what he called it. Soul travel. And so it seems like it could be something like that. That's what I kept thinking, like maybe leaving his body and actually, but some of the places were in the future.
Yeah. Well, what about the rest of y'all? Carol or Rose or Kay? What was your biggest takeaway?
Well, to me, it was Socrates was trying to get him to dismantle the ego and live in the present moment. Now, the scene when he was in the rafters reading the minds, it was to show you that everybody has all these random thoughts and they don't tell you what reality is. I mean, that was what it meant to me, like that particular scene people are having trouble with.
My worst one was when he flew over his gymnastics meet. And he dropped the binoculars and then he laughs and says, oh, well, different things happened here when you drop the binoculars.
Well, for me, it's the same thing, Carol. The gist for me is about living in and enjoying the present moment, right? That's
exactly. And then the lady who was Joy in the book is Symbol. She was one of his Socrates students. Right. And Dan, of course, immediately was attracted to him. But in order to get Joy, symbolically and actually marry her later, you have to dismantle the ego, live in the present moment. What is really important in your life? Is it always the goal, or is it the present moment, the journey?
Yeah. For real. Yeah. All right. So did you guys have any like specific quotes or anything or things that came up that you're like, wow, that was kind of an interesting idea that came up for you? I've got a lot, so don't worry.
Oh, go for it, because I didn't write any quotes down. I mean, this has been my whole life of a spiritual awakening for myself.
I had to go get my book.
Yeah. Okay. Well, even at the beginning in chapter 3, one of the sentences there is just, stress happens when the mind resists what is. And I thought, wow, stress happens when the mind resists what is. And I thought about that for myself, when I become stressed out, it's typically because I'm trying to make something happen that's not happening right then, right? Or I want something different than what's happening right then,
So what page was that on?
Oh, Kelly, I don't know.
Well, the only reason I'm asking is because I was listening to it and reading it at the same time.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he would skip huge parts of it. And I remember that, but I thought it was from a part where I highlighted something. So it's okay.
It's from chapter 3. And if you've got that same book like I do, it was page 72. But, everybody has a different.
Well, stress, that's a good quote. Stress happens when the mind resists what is what you said, Cheryl?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of times what I find in my life, and I do this on a daily basis, is that if you're getting stress in your life, a lot of times you're not seeing things the way it is. I'll ask myself, Holy Spirit or divine guidance, how can I see this differently? You're not seeing what is reality. You're doing projection. Dan does projection all through the book until he finally gets the message. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that totally makes sense. Again, it's coming back to the present moment instead of trying to make something happen or do something or make it different than what it is, right? Yeah.
Yes, and all through life, you're just you're making thousands of decisions every day and judgments. We're judging all the time. We judge so much we're not even conscious of it.
Yeah.
You know, and we're causing our own stress.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
Yeah. There was a quote he talked about in there, and I don't think I have that one in here, but he talked about children, and you can only come to the kingdom of God as a child. You know, he talked about that, but he said children, they notice everything that's going on all around them. They feel it, they see it, they hear it, they smell it. They just notice what's going on. And we get bored by it because we've started naming all those things. Oh, that's a turtle, that's a dog, that's a tree, that's a this, that's, so we don't even, and we have that one's good, that one's bad, that one's ugly, that one's pretty, you know, we don't even perceive it anymore, you know?
I like how you said the kids scream bloody murder when they're mad. I really like that idea. I thought of that before. Like if we all laid on the floor and had a temper tantrum when we didn't get our way.
Well, and he says that too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Feelings, let your feelings go,
Mm-hmm.
you know, let them flow and then let them go, right? Isn't that one of the things?
Mm-hmm. It was one that a quote I saw that I noted. It says, it is obvious then that your mind, not other people or your surroundings, is the source of your moods.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was.
And we kind of know this stuff, right? It's not that we pay a lot of attention to it all the time, but we kind of know this. If we were to set these things up and follow a practice with it, you know, we'd kind of get it.
This to me, this line that I highlighted here is what he wanted to do with the book, but I think in my reception of the book, he missed the mark. He said, you can see, he's talking about the fish. And he says, you can see that a magnificent leap of awareness is required for the fish to extend its vision beyond the water in which it is immersed to the source of the ripples. I think that's what he's trying to get us to do, is to figure out the source of.
Perfect analogy. Perfect. Yeah, that's a good take, Kelly. Because a fish, all it knows is the water. Mm-hmm. If it jumps out of the water, it's like, oh my God, there's this other, what's reality?
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was the water. And actually there's another whole thing
dimension
here that I wasn't, a whole new dimension I wasn't even aware of.
And that is what he's trying to do. He's saying that there's another whole dimension out there that most people aren't paying attention to.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that spiritual type of dimension, you know.
It's that child, like, you know, no sense of time, dismantling of time. Children get involved in their activities, and
it's that whole story. Kelly, you're getting ready to experience this now with your new little grandchild that's about to be born. She's about to be a grandma.
Yay!
Yay!
So you take your little two, when they're 2 or 3, you take them for a little walk on the sidewalk, and they stop and look at ants and bugs and whatever's going on, or they see a flower and smell it and play with it, and you can't get them to walk. You know, that's just they're having fun with everything they're doing, right? So
they're always in the moment, in the present, in the now, and that was so core in this book. Whereas adults, we're living in the past, or we're thinking about the future. Because you know, we're worried about, you know, we're rarely in the present moment as adults. Usually.
Yeah. Hey, Janice.
Hey.
We're talking about the book, but we're finding kind of quotes or things in the book that stuck out to us that were kind of interesting ideas. You know, I like this one. To rid yourself of old patterns, focus all your energy not on struggling with the old one, but on building the new one. Right?
Could you repeat that? To rid yourself.
To rid yourself of old patterns, focus all your energy not on struggling with the old, but on building the new. I'm hearing some background noise there somewhere.
It's me. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Getting rid of it.
All right, thanks. Did you get it? That was in chapter 4.
Sorry.
The sword is sharpened. somewhere in chapter 4. And I thought that that was interesting too, because we tend to, or I tend to, I don't know about you guys, if I'm trying to change something, seems like the only thing I focus on is the thing that I'm trying to change, instead of trying to create a new pattern, you know, to take its place or whatever, you know. And that's, I mean, isn't that what they teach you in, you know, like I think even in Al-Anon, they teach you that kind of stuff. They teach you that kind of stuff, but we have to pay attention to it and practice it in order for that to happen, right?
Yep.
Oh, for sure. That's a good one too.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how the energy flows. I work a lot with this lately. It's kind of like, I would rather march for peace than against war.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I think that's what the quote is trying to get to you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, sounds right.
You feel the energy. You feel the energy, how it's different. That statement is the same, yet different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Joe even has a book when she's had a lot of folks that have had cancer. And one of the things people always do when they have cancer is they say they have to fight the cancer, they have to beat the cancer, they're a war against cancer. And then she has this book that talks about living with cancer, you know, and, you know, things like that. And it's kind of interesting, right, Joey?
Well, yeah.
I knew you'd jump in.
I know. Well, it's one of the best favorite books in my life. It's called Speak the Language of Healing. And it's a woman who was studying women's cancers. And so she took, I think it's 3 women, different faith backgrounds, different ages, different cancers, different stages of their cancer, and interviewed them. And she thought it would be interesting. But when she gave each of the other women's stories, they read through the night. Like it's not something that's interesting. It's something that if you're part of that tribe, that's what she calls it. She says, getting cancer, you become an initiate, which is a helpful language, you know, of a club. And then instead of war language or even sport language, she talks about living with, you know, and sometimes you fight, you become a warrior sometimes, but you don't live the whole thing fighting and losing. And it's interesting because when I was a chaplain doing my work to become a pastor, once a quarter, you know, one of the things chaplains did, my stint was in a Chicago emergency room, like a ER, and the pastors, the clergy, chaplains, we did all the paperwork of folks dying. We handled all the death and dying. It was really something else to live in that world for a while. The interesting thing though is once a quarter, we would have a service for all the folks who died during that quarter. And what she mentioned is when you die of cancer, people, what do they say? They say, oh, Kelly lost the fight. She lost the good fight. You know, she lost her battle with. I mean, you hear this all the time. So she goes, basically, we're calling people losers, you know? And when I read that line in that book, I remembered that as people would go and share about their family member, they would lost the fight. And I'm like, holy shit, you know, we've got to change our language around this. So yeah, metaphorical or not, Kelly, I think the language we choose, I mean, it's just not something worth being lazy around. You know, it's like, it matters.
Did everybody freeze?
Some of you froze.
Joe froze.
Oh, okay.
Carol, are you frozen?
Kelly's frozen. Janice is frozen. Bud's not frozen. Everyone's back.
I'm not.
Anyway,
It was
I'll stop. But yeah, Cheryl, it's that has always been a powerful book for me. Anybody who ever gets cancer, I'm like, here, read this book. Here, read this book. Here, read this book. It's been out of print forever. But if you can find it, it's a really powerful read. And I have given it to everyone I know. Sorry?
That's super important, Joby, what you brought up, because words are very powerful. Words create thought and form on another dimension, and that will affect your health.
Absolutely. And the words we use around how we engage with our bodies. If our body has a cancer, doesn't mean we have cancer. It means currently there's a cancer in my body, you know, but it's just that energy. And it was really quite powerful. the different stages and how these women were handling it. But anyway, great book. It's called Speak the Language of Healing. It's been out of print forever. And if you can find it, buy as many as you can find. I have tapes of them.
I will definitely check it out.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat for y'all.
My reading list is growing with the sanctuary people, which is a good thing.
We are people of books, honey, you know?
We are.
What are some other things that you heard or that you read that you were like, huh, that was an interesting bit, interesting idea?
Well, I'm sorry to say I didn't read the book. I've been traveling and all that kind of stuff.
She watched the movie.
But I did watch the movie.
Good.
And Carol said that the book is kind of similar to the movie. And I did read a summary of the book as well. But I guess I was kind of amazed that after Dan's motorcycle accident, which was really devastating to him, he was able to get his strength back and get his, athleticism back, with the teachings of Socrates helping him and, having him focus. But I guess for me, the big thing was Dan's ego was so huge. I mean, he, his life was just drinking beer, doing his gymnastics and, having fun with girls. And then, the motorcycle accident brought him down to square one. And with Socrates' help, he was able to build himself back up again. But for me, that was really, I think, a big takeaway for me. Even though you may experience some type of physical accident or whatever, and you think there isn't much hope, maybe there is hope, just believing and working towards it. So, yeah. And my apologies. Not reading the book.
No, that's still good insight. So thank you for that. Yeah. Another one that got me was, and this was in chapter 4, when he said, I felt a constant sense of lightness and energy that radiated around me. And Socrates said, your energy level's rising. People, animals, and even things are attracted to energy fields. And this was after Dan had quit eating meat and followed some of Socrates' other rules, where he started feeling this lightness and this energy all around him like that. And I wondered if any of you all had ever experienced that kind of energy or lightness from following certain habits or certain traditions. And you're smiling over there, Carol.
Yes, but I have a feeling I'm talking too much. So
No, go ahead.
I want to give someone else a chance for a change. I just resonated so much with all this. So
you resonated with it, yeah.
Well, as far as the energy field goes, I mean, I study these things so much, and it's in my daily practice. And I notice the more I change within myself, the more I'm attracting different things. People are changing around me. Know thyself, I think, is a quote in the Bible or whatever. And the more I change in my inward self, I attract a whole bunch of different things, and people around me change, family members. It's a whole big thing with me.
Sure, yeah. And I think Wayne Dyer says, you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? And so, and pretty powerfully, actually. So, yeah. I know that sense of lightness and energy. What I felt like, first of all, when I first read that was when I have done a fast, for instance, after about 3 days, you start just feeling this energy, this lightness, this clarity, about what's going on, and you do have this kind of energy that it seems like you're putting out, and I don't know, there's just a different kind of feel from following something like that. So he was doing some of that stuff, and that was kind of where I felt like, okay, that that automatically, following some of those physical types of practices, does change your energy level, right? So.
Oh yeah, what I was talking about was mental practices,
Sure.
but physical practices would have the same effect too, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, you can feel it when you walk into a room. A lot of us who are sensitive, you can feel it. You can read the room right away when you walk into it.
Sure. You know, and if somebody comes in with a particular kind of heavy energy, you can feel that, right? So absolutely. What else?
I kind of thought that Socrates was indefensible, or I was shocked that he died. And
you thought he'd kind of be immortal, kind of.
Immortal.
Yeah.
The way, wasn't he like in his 90s or something? Didn't they say something about him being in his 90s?
Did they? I don't know. I got the impression he was just like, it didn't matter what age he was, you know. But maybe they did say he was in his 90s. Did you guys hear that? I didn't catch that part.
Or 100 something later.
Yeah, I think they said 100.
Yeah, I thought he was ageless. I'm not sure I read it anywhere, but I just kind of had this ageless, but athletic and fit older gentleman.
Yeah.
You know, Bud, like you.
Yeah. Thank you, older gentleman.
Seasoned.
Yeah, Socrates, you kind of got that he wouldn't ever die. But then when he did die, you kind of get that he's not really going to die, because he's still a spirit. He's still there. And that also was part of the whole thought process about the book, that we're here. We're not, you know, we're with everything, right? And he said, there's even a quote about that I don't know, I think it's in here. And this was after he was heading down from the mountainside. So this was your guys' time here. And he said, and I laughed often, because every time I looked around at the earth, the sky, the sun, the trees, the lakes, the streams, I realized that it was all me, that no separation existed at all. It was all one. You guys, and everybody's shaking their head. Yes. Yeah. Does that sound familiar to you? Yeah. Have you guys
separation is an illusion?
Yes. Yeah. And that separation is what causes us also a lot of stress and stuff, right, Carol? Yeah. So have you ever watched Jill Bolte Taylor's TED Talk? Anybody? It's called My Stroke of Insight.
Oh, I think I read the book.
Yeah, you might have. I've read the book
a long time ago.
Yeah, but she does this 20-minute TED Talk about it, and she's a neurological brain something or another, and she brain scientist, or neuroscientist, and she has a stroke. And she knows she's having one at some point. And she says, "Oh my God, I'm having a stroke. Here I am. Isn't this a cool thing?" And, and whatever. But then she realizes she needs to get some help. Anyway, it's her, when she does her TED Talk, she talks about the two different sides of the brain and how one of them does feel like it's separate. And the other one, the side of it, feels like everything is whole. I'm all connected to everything. Everything is one, And so it's a very interesting talk about the play between that individualness and that everything is one, all connected, real interesting. So
she just wrote a new book that I was trying to find.
Oh, really?
Out from the library about, it sounds really interesting about how the brain is wired, left hemisphere and right hemisphere, and we need to be incorporated in using our entire brain.
Yeah.
I'm excited to read it, but it's interesting you brought her up.
Yeah. And that's what she was really talking about. And she does her TED Talk. She actually brings out a human brain and shows it to you.
What's her name again?
Jill Bolte Taylor, Bolte Taylor. Yeah. So it's a really interesting 20-minute TED Talk. I think it's the most interesting one I've ever watched for me, you know.
Whole Brain Living. Is that right?
What?
Is that by her, the book?
That's
What?
it. That's her new book, Whole Brain Living. That's it.
Whole Brain Living. Okay.
Yeah, because what is it? Most of us as people, we're in our heads constantly. And the thing is, we need to get out of our heads and live through our heart.
Yeah.
When you start doing that, things change as well. I think she gets into that in that book. But
that was one thing he said too with Dan. He said, I had lost my mind and fallen into my heart. And I thought,
yeah, that is so true. Oh my God.
Wow, that was a really powerful one. The other one that I loved was he said, the one where he, where was he? He was doing a Tai Chi thing, right? And a bunch of students were watching him, and he put both his legs in one pant leg and he fell down, you know, and they were all laughing at him and stuff because he was thinking, oh, I'm so cool. And they all started laughing at him. And then he started laughing too. And he went back to Socrates and he said, there are no ordinary moments, no ordinary moments. After that, I treated every moment as special, worthy of my full attention. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to try to do that, right? I mean, I have one of those automatic toothbrushes that brushes your teeth for 2 minutes, 30 seconds here, 30 seconds here. And I try to do 16 other things while I'm brushing my teeth, right? And instead, I've started to try to focus on, okay, let's brush this. Yes, pay attention. You're brushing, you know, it's really feel it, experience it, stay with what you're doing. Enjoy what you're doing, and you know, be grateful for what's going on. You know, I mean, this kind of stuff. And it's really tough to stay with that because I'm just such a bang, 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 bang. Look, what I can do next, you know, I mean, and that's part of this whole thing. Even the part where Socrates talks about eating slowly. He takes one bite, he enjoys it, you know, he feels in his mouth, he experiences the whole thing before he, you know, gobbles it down, you know. And I'm thinking, wow, you know, what a good way to eat, you know.
That's not the American way.
No, it's not.
Well, my husband's way, that's for sure.
It's a mindfulness, which is very important. And the ego mind does not want you to do anything like that, anything spiritual. No, because that will dismantle the ego, and the ego wants to, you know, stay here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard all these concepts before, but I haven't heard it expressed like dismantling the ego. So whenever you talk about that, I start going,
Well, if you think about it, as human beings, we're always trying to protect ourselves. We're protecting our body. We're protecting our possessions. It's always in relation to us, how we experience the world.
Yeah. We
need to dismantle that and realize we are all one.
Yeah.
We're all one. There's one energy field. There's one mind. This separateness is an illusion.
Kelly Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, will do that. Or yeah, he has another one too. And then also anything by Wayne Dyer.
Wayne Dyer?
Yeah.
D-Y-E-R?
Yeah, D-Y-W-E-R. Dyer, is that right? No, D.
Yeah, you're right. D-Y-E. Dyer.
D-W. I don't know. Anyway, Wayne Dyer, you'll find him.
Y'all are making me work. This will be a very good chat to save.
Anyway,
before we end, I'll show you how to save the chat, by the way. It really actually is a very good resource to know how to do.
What about this one? There's no praise and no blame on the path you've chosen. It's time you blew into your own sails. Wow. Quit expecting other people to tell you what to do or blame you or whatever, you know, just blow into your own sails. Take responsibility. You take your own, you listen to your own self, you know. I don't know. That was kind of powerful to me too, because he went to Socrates, wanting Socrates to praise him for something that he'd done, you know, and Socrates said, you know, that's what you chose. You know, everything can be what it is. It's not necessarily good or bad, but it's important that you know, decide consciously what you're going to do and understand that there are going to be pleasures and consequences to whatever action you take. Like when Socrates came to him and said he was smoking, he had a cigarette, and he's just trying to demonstrate that, you know, that idea to him. So,
yeah, sure. I heard you talk about The Power of Intention before.
Oh, The Power of Intention. Yeah, that's a good book by Wayne Dyer. It's a really good book. All right, what else? Let's see. Is this a book you'd recommend to somebody else?
For sure, I would.
Depends who they are. Not to Michael.
But you're saying yes, and yet you seemed like you had kind of weird feelings.
Well, the more I listen to you, I'm getting more out of it.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Maybe my head was not in the right space. But yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Like I said, I want to see the movie.
Yeah.
I want to see the movie, and then.
Did you read it or listen to it, bud?
I read it.
Because I think the book is easier for me to get into because the author actually reads the book, and it's so weird. He'll like skip 2 or 3 pages. Like I'm reading along and all of a sudden he jumped over here, like the stuff that illustrated the point, he skips right by. Like I think the pants one you just said, Cheryl, I didn't hear that I sometimes just read, sometimes just listened.
Oh.
But his voice and the way he portrays it makes it sound so, I can't even explain it. You'd have to hear it. It's like he's making a cartoon of it or something, you know, like,
really?
Whoa, then all of a sudden I went up in the air and ha ha ha, you know.
Oh,
that's how he says that stuff. I can play it for you if you want to hear it, but it's strange, his way of reading it.
Interesting. What about you, Kay? Would you recommend it? Yeah. Janice?
Yeah, probably wouldn't recommend it to most people. It's pretty deep, and most people don't want to get that deep. At least not the people I'm around much. But I'd like to see the movie and see kind of the differences. It's been a couple of weeks since I finished it, so there's some stuff I'm not remembering really well. But I know it took me a long time to get into it. And but as I got into it, the more and more I liked it.
Cool.
So yeah, said a lot.
It's like a self-help book through a novel instead of
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the same thing as what Carol was talking about with illusions, you know.
Yeah,
illusions. Yeah. Kelly, I was going to say Illusions is by the same author that wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull. So
okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'd probably have people start with Illusions because can be a fun story or it can be very deeply philosophical. You can read it both ways. So depending on where someone's at, this is what started me on my spiritual quest, because I just, decades and decades ago. So I probably have someone start with this book, then Peaceful Warrior, but I love Peaceful Warrior as well.
Yeah. I think you're right. If you're familiar with the concepts, it probably adds more value than if that's the first time you've started with something like this.
Yeah, if it's the first time, I'd go with Richard probably.
Yeah.
But I've read stuff about mindfulness and, like you said, that one by Eckhart Tolle and The Power of Now or whatever it is. And I guess this seemed like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to insult the book, but at all, I am not. But it seemed like the cartoon version of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I could tell it had the same principles, but it had too much silliness in it.
Yeah. Well, if you were listening to it and he expressed it that way, that might, you know, those times when you're listening to it, it probably made a difference that way, right?
Yeah, and it was better when I read it, but
yeah. All right.
So I'm gonna suggest that we begin voting because you have a lot of books.
Oh,
and we can close Dan Millman.
All right.
A couple Dan Millman quotes.
Bless you.
There are no ordinary moments, right?
Right.
For sure.
And the journey, this was told to Cheryl and I this weekend, by you, Kelly, or my sister, maybe. No, by Ann, my sister-in-law. She said, because Cheryl and I enjoy our 3-day drive, we don't like to just get in the car and balls to the wall. We have a good drive. We have a nice dinner. We have a good sleep. We wake up and have a good breakfast. You know, it's like, we do not push. It's just important to be, and it still is exhausting. We come home and Cheryl slept most of yesterday. I worked yesterday. I slept this morning. But we make some phone calls along the way. And my sister-in-law said, you guys, I would just like get in the car and drive 26 hours straight. You know, she goes, you guys, the journey, the drive is part of who you are, what you do. I'm like, yeah. And so Dan Millman says, the journey is what brings us happiness, not the destination.
Thank you. Exactly.
You
That's when he was recovering from his leg injury. And he was it was the journey, not the outcome.
Yeah.
Right.
That was, okay. Yeah.
Well, and isn't it funny? Because when you talk about visualization, they talk about get very clear on the outcome, like ridiculously clear on the outcome, and then allow the universe and planets to align and things to show up. The journey will show up in front of you if you have that outcome really nailed down, you know, your goal. And so it's interesting to have kind of both sides of that coin. What I'm going to do is share my screen, okay? Because Kelly freaking added 3 books. God bless you. Okay. So I'm going to.
And Bud had a bunch.
What did you add? Did you put them in the chat?
Yeah,
Put them in the chat.
Oh my God, did I miss it?
I don't see them. Where are they?
Holy Toledo.
Yeah, there they are.
Listed. I really wanted to see here too. I don't remember which one it was.
Okay, hold on. You guys tell a joke or something for a minute. I gotta research all the buds. So hold on. But if there were the favorite 2 of those, because we're gonna have like 15 books to choose from, which is gonna take us an hour. Which are the 2 favorite?
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one? Oh, I just friends of mine, 2 sets of friends told me all about their favorite books, and I just wrote them down, and that's my list. So I don't know anything about any of them.
Okay.
I started reading A Boy and His Dog just because I love my dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it good?
It's good. It's good.
Hold on.
I've read The Vanishing Half, and it is very good. And I'd like to read The Lincoln Highway. The Midnight Library is weird to me. I've read about it, and I keep thinking, I don't know. But it's almost kind of like one of them that I suggested, which is
Barb has one in the chat that we're supposed to do. It's called The Zen of Brushing My Teeth by Cheryl Meyer.
Yes.
I was laughing.
I'll read it.
That's funny.
The library one sort of reminds me of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, if you read the description of it. But of mine, my favorite one is The Humans by Matt Haig. That's my one I'd like to read the most.
Okay, hold on here. Barb, are you added Jonathan Livingston Seagull, The Midnight Library. I'm going to put all these in the chat. Once again, you're going to save the chat, and Cheryl, you're going to save the chat. And this is an upload for like 2022 and 2023.
How do you save the chat?
I'm going to show you.
Okay.
But it's not worth saving yet because all this stuff's going to go in it. So what I've done tonight is I've gotten everything, all the books by the same reviewer. Okay, so let me do
that's interesting.
And
yeah. Clever, Joe.
Pardon?
I said that's so clever.
Thank you, Kelly. All right. We should start this at like 20 till. Okay, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to share my screen now so you can see each one of these. Okay. So first off, can y'all see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So first off is yours, Cheryl, The House We Grew Up In, right? By Lisa Jewell. That's your friend?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My friend.
No, this isn't her friend one, but she did suggest this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Pal.
Interestingly, they go to this third paragraph, told in gorgeous, insightful prose that delves deeply into the hearts and minds of its characters. The House We Grew Up In is a captivating story of one family's desire to restore long forgotten peace and to unearth the many secrets hidden within the nooks and crannies of home. Okay, hold on to that one. A Calm of Fire. And so also, if you notice in Goodreads, these are all the most popular books of 2022 thus far. And so it gives an order here. So this one I think is number 3.
Oh, wow.
In Kingsbridge. International, well, Ken Follett's a big name, right? So this is the ancient stones of Kingsbridge Cathedral look down on a city torn apart by religious conflict. As power in England shifts precariously between Catholics and Protestants, royalty and commoners clash, testing friendship, loyalty, and love. There's assassination, there's rebellion, there's invasion. And I like this, the real enemies then as now are not the rival religions. The true battle pitches those who believe in tolerance and compromise against folks who would impose their ideas on everyone else, no matter the cost. Gosh, sounds like the U.S.
Sounds familiar.
It's like a very familiar
Lordy.
scenario happening right now.
Is this yours, honey? The woman upstairs? Which one is from your friend?
The one that's from my friend is the one, Keenan Powell. It's the one of the mystery.
Oh, that's not, you didn't give me that name.
Yes, I did.
Oh, that's next. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so this is The Woman Upstairs. Again, a good read, 3.88 stars, not huge.
This is in my wish list too.
One of the most twisted, shocking, heart-stopping psychological thrillers you'll ever read. Prepare to be kept up way past your bedtime as you race through this addictive page turner. So this is kind of an exciting book for July. Okay.
Yeah.
This is Cheryl's Deadly Solution, right?
This is Keenan's book, my friend's book.
Yeah, but it's your suggestion because it's your friend.
It's one of my suggestions. I suggested all those other ones. Those were the suggestions I had from last month.
I like this.
Hey, Joe,
Yes?
a little bit of information about the Kingsbridge one.
Yes,
Wherever that is, I was looking at. Is that the name of it, Kingsbridge?
Kingsbridge number 3. I think that's his.
Yeah, it's the third one of the. I typed in
series.
there. It kind of reminds me of Pillars of the Earth. Well, there's a good reason for that. It's number 3 in the Pillars of the Earth trilogy.
Oh, I didn't read
one.
number 2.
Yep. Pillars of the Earth. World
I
Without
read
End.
Pillars of the Earth. I didn't read World Without End, and this is the third in the installment.
Oh,
So maybe a good reason not to read this one unless you want to do homework, like the first 2 books.
well, it stands on its own though, doesn't it? Or do you have to read the other ones?
World Without End is number 2, Barb?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, never mind then. Okay.
There's probably a depth of story that you can read it on its own, but you may get a little more out of it if you have read the back, the other 2. I don't know.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, Kelly, this is yours, right? This is the first one, but you said you liked the third one best.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to skip to the third one. This just The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And the next one, Heathcliff Lennox, France, 1918. But the one Kelly really likes is called The Humans. This is kind of cool. This is an extraterrestrial that comes to Earth and he becomes a professor, and it's kind of his cover. And he's completely disgusted with human beings initially. As time goes on, though, he starts to drink wine, read Emily Dickinson, listen to the Talking Heads, you know, and he's kind of like, yeah, these people might be, you know, this species might be kind of cool. The tough thing is he begins to question his mission because it involved thwarting human progress and murder. So I think that sounds cool too, Kelly. Sounds like a neat kind of a summer read, you know? So keep that one in mind. That's called The Humans. And here are the four that Bud's friend suggested. A Boy and His Dog at the End of the World. I would do the same thing, but I would have picked this one up right away. Just a kid whose best friend was a dog. If we aren't loyal to the things we love, what's the point? That's really, there's not a lot of description on this, but it's got a good high rating, you know, 4.16. The Humans has 4.08. So, you know, it's got a good rating of 12,580 people. So that sounds good. The Lincoln Highway, Kelly, you were also thinking this one, the best, this is 4.27, even a higher rating. And I wasn't able to read all of these before I jumped in. This one spans 10 days and the story is told from multiple points of view. This is this person, Amor Towles, his third novel, satisfying fans of his multi-layered literary style while providing them with an array of new and richly imagined settings, characters, and themes. So let's see, 18-year-old Emmett is the protagonist. His mother long gone, his father recently deceased, family farm foreclosed upon. Emmett's intention is to pick up his 8-year-old brother and head west where they can start their lives anew. So interesting. Sounds good, actually. The Midnight Library. Between life and death, there's a library. And within that library, the shelves go on forever. Every book provides a chance to try another life you could have lived. So a dazzling novel about all the choices that go into a life well lived, from the internationally best-selling author of Reasons to Stay Alive and How to Stop Time. I haven't read either of those.
It sounds like the book we just read. Sorry.
Kelly, you might want to skip this one for this month. Yeah.
Oh, it's the same author
as The Humans, right?
It's interesting.
Oh, interesting. Is it of The Humans? Matt Haig. It is.
Yeah.
And they're both about the same rating. Look at this, though. 1 million people have read this one.
Yes, I know.
115,000 views. And The Human.
It's very hot. I know that.
86,000 people have read it. Yeah, so that one, it's called the Midnight Library. So Nora Seed finds herself faced with a decision. Faced with the possibility of changing her life for a new one, following a different career, undoing old breakups, realizing her dream of becoming a glaciologist. She must search within herself as she travels through the Midnight Library to decide what is truly fulfilling in life and what makes life worth living in the first place. Really interesting.
But the bad thing is you're not allowed to do that in real life. So it just makes you dissatisfied.
It's why we read books, Kelly, and go to movies. But look at the genres: fiction, fantasy, contemporary, audio, magical, adult science fiction, health and mental health, you know. So it's really,
it's a hot book. It keeps coming up in my suggestions, but.
Okay, so that's an idea. And then the last one is The Vanishing Half, Bud. This has got, again, these are all good 4-point-something books, right? This one, again, half a million ratings.
I read this one right after we read the librarian one.
Did you like it?
Yes, it's very good. It helps you understand the passing thing.
Yeah, this is interesting. Southern Black community, it's making me think of the, Cheryl, what's the one with the flight? Southern Black community running away at 16. Their families, their communities, their racial identities, everything changes for these two twins. One of them lives with her black daughter in the same southern town she tried to escape. The other passes for white, and her white husband has no idea that she's black or a twin. The fates of the twins remains intertwined, weaving together multiple strands and generations of this family from the deep South to California. From the 50s to the 90s, Britt Bennett produces a story that's once a riveting, emotionally family story and a brilliant exploration of the American history of passing. Yeah, like the librarian, the one that you guys did. Yeah. There you go. All right, friends.
Time to vote.
I would suggest we vote and we try to vote for a couple and do a July, August thing, but that's just me. Because
okay, why don't we vote for 2 and let's see what the top 2 are.
Okay, so Cheryl, can you put this in the chat? I can't do a share and have the chat up, okay?
If we vote for 2.
You get to vote for 2. And Carol and Rose, you guys get 4 votes, okay?
Okay.
So what am I supposed to do?
Okay, ready? So the house we grew up in.
Oh, you want me to write the names of the books?
I think so, Cheryl.
Yes, honey.
The house what?
The house we grew up in.
You want me to do it?
Whoever's fast. Kelly, you fast typer?
Most of the time.
Please.
Faster than me,
Cheryl,
probably.
Let it
I got
go.
that one.
All right, the house we grew up in. Anybody? And should I call for votes? You got 2 votes. Let me review all of them while you're writing them up again, Tally. So first is the house you grew up in. The second is A Column of Fire by Ken Follett. Woman Upstairs. Deadly Solution. Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I'm going to take Heathcliff Lennox down, okay, Kelly?
Thank you.
You kind of voted for The Humans. The Humans. A Boy and His Dog. Lincoln Highway. Midnight Library. And The Vanishing Half. So while you ponder, Kelly, I can't see the chat, so I'm just trusting you here.
Put it in the chat.
So what are we supposed to do?
Oh, hold on, wait. I'm gonna
voting when I typed any of them.
All right, hold on. Y'all are voting, and we haven't started voting yet. So maybe
we haven't?
No.
No, I thought you were typing the name for me, Bud.
Oh.
You typed it way better too.
Okay, so I'm gonna start saying, and say this out loud, y'all, so you want to vote for. So let's go with the house we grew up in. Any votes for the house we grew up in? Just say your name out loud.
Jan.
Janice?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Janice, you get 1 more vote, okay?
Okay.
A Column of Fire. Woman Upstairs. Deadly Solution.
Kelly.
Okay.
Okay. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. The Humans.
Kelly.
Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Oh, that one's gonna win.
Rose.
Kelly, Cheryl, and Bud.
And Rose.
And Rose.
And Carol.
And Carol.
And Rose and Carol. Okay, so the Humans, people who cast their vote were Kelly, Cheryl, Bud, Rose, and Carol.
Yes.
A Boy and His Dog at the End of the World.
Cheryl.
I want to vote for it, but I don't have a vote left.
That's how it goes, Kelly. So
Cheryl.
Janice.
Cheryl.
Carol, Janice, Cheryl,
And Rose.
and Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Lincoln Highway. Midnight Library.
Okay.
I'm with you, Kay. And The Vanishing Half.
Bud.
So how many people are on here just to do this? I will check. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. There should be 14 votes cast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Did one of you not vote twice? I cannot capture something. Either way, you know what? The human wins, followed by the dog. Period.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay. So Cheryl, write this down, honey.
Okay.
Actually. And I'm
So
going to the chat thing. Hold on 1 second, y'all.
So do you want to do the humans in July and maybe do the dog and boy, or the boy and dog, whichever way it goes, in August?
Well, except that Bud's already reading The Boy and the Dog. So
I'll put it down and pick up the humans and do that in August.
Okay.
The
Are you guys, is that okay with you guys?
Totally.
Kay, is that okay with you? You didn't vote for either one of those.
Not the first time.
Okay.
Okay, so here I'm going to stop my share. Okay. Here's what you do, folks. To save a chat in Zoom, anybody can do this. And if you're a host, you can actually set this up to happen automatically. But if you open your chat, everybody, and down where it says to everyone, type message here, kind of where you would write a message.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Over to the far right of that same little area, there's a little page because you can add a file there. There's a smiley face, so you can say wonderful things to your host. And those 3 dots is called a triple ellipse. Hit the triple ellipse, and then on the very top, it says save chat. And when you hit that button, watch what happens on your screen.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, so here, not exactly. So Bud, now open your documents, right? Your file that is, in
Next door to it.
In documents, and go all the way down because it is a Z. And there will be a Zoom folder in your documents now with a date on it.
I don't know where documents is.
Are you on a iPad or something?
No.
Regular computer? Okay, go to the bottom left.
Under your name.
It should be under your name or under somewhere in your files.
Where you save files, documents.
When you do a download, where does it go? That's what
where does it go?
To download.
Oh, I don't know.
On the bottom of your screen, Bud, is there a little yellow file folder?
A little yellow file folder.
So when I did it saved chat. It gives me a line that says chat saved, and then it says show in folder.
Right. If you hit the show in folder, it'll go right to that folder.
It's a puzzlement.
Do you have a thing, Bud, that says File Explorer anywhere?
File Explorer.
Yeah, it looks like a little file folder.
Like on the bottom.
Yeah.
No.
No? Okay.
Well, what about
You know what? Ask Dell. He'll figure it out.
Oh.
What would be the name of it?
It's
in there.
So wherever your documents are, and for me, friends, what I do is I go to the bottom left. There's a little Windows guy. If I double click that or left click that, on the left hand side, I get a little. It looks like a page with a little folded edge. That's called documents. If you click that, in my world, I have folders and folders and folders of different documents. But if you scroll to the bottom alphabetically, there will be a new Zoom folder that Zoom.
I found it.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh, I haven't.
You click in that Zoom folder and there will be a date. Mine is 2022.
Right.
You know, 0628. It says Sanctuary in the Woods personal meeting room. If you click in that folder, it says meeting saved chat.
Got
when
it.
you click on it, you get a little text document, but now you have all the information about the books, any comments people made. So isn't that kind of fun? You can if you ever have like a vibrant family meeting or something like that, and you want to put stuff in the chat or save it, triple ellipse. Cool. And for everybody, it automatically makes a Zoom folder. And within the Zoom folder, it makes a dated folder. And then you click on that and your chat's there. It's in a text file. It's not always gorgeous, but you certainly can find the information that you need.
The only thing in my Zoom folder was the program or something.
You good?
I'm not getting it either.
Janice?
But I got the file because I opened the file when it was there.
So Janice, try this. Janice, if you hit triple ellipse again.
Wait, triple ellipse. See, I don't know what that is.
If you go to the chat, open up your chat box.
Okay, hang on one second. Let me get back there. Well, where am I? No. This is frustrating.
And are you on a laptop, Janice, or an iPad?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, we'll get you. So you know on the bottom, if you
go to get back to the Zoom.
Yeah, and get back to the Zoom so you can see all of us.
I have post attendees.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Bud, you're being a shit.
That's me. That's me.
I can't. Oh, there I am. Hang on.
Found us?
Now I'm back to Zoom.
Okay, on the bottom of your Zoom screen, roll your little mouse over, and one of the options is chat, right?
Got it.
When you hit chat, you open it up, and now you go over to where it says type message here.
Keep hitting the wrong thing. Type message here, yeah.
Okay, see the three little dots on the top right hand, right near that smiley face?
Yes.
So on the
save
three
chat.
dots, left hand click, save chat. And like Kelly said, sometimes if it's your first time, it says, hey, want me to open a folder? Want me to show you where this is in the folder? If
It
not,
says, it doesn't say anything. It didn't do anything. It just, I said save chat, and I don't know where it went.
okay, hold on. I did it again, and mine says save chat right above that. It says save chat with a check mark, and it says show in folder.
Nope.
Okay, where mine went is to this PC documents Zoom.
Yep.
Show in folder. Okay, now I found that.
There you go. Now just look on the title and kind of walk your way backwards in the files that it shows, okay? Mine is this PC,
the only one.
Documents, Zoom, and the date.
Okay, let me see if it has all those. Yeah, I've got it now. I just need to know where to put it.
You can save it wherever you want it, so then you can find it.
Yeah, and it should save itself in a Zoom file, in a Zoom folder, in Documents.
See, that's what I'm trying to do, is save it in a Zoom folder, but that's part I can't figure out.
It's already saved in the folder this PC documents.
Yeah, it's already there. I'll save for you. And I'm going to close off our recording. So, Bud, check your hair. There you go.
It's too late.
And that is our June. And now we have Vibrant. Our July is going to be The Humans by Matt Haig. And August is A Boy and His Dog at the End of the World. And I will answer that question in a moment. July looks like July 12th, National Eat Your Jell-O Day, is Sanctuary Kitchen. And July 26th is going to be The Humans, okay? And then August, I'm not sure what we're cooking for you in August, but August looks like you guys have to make a decision whether you want to be the 4th or the 5th Tuesday, because there are 5 Tuesdays in August. 23rd or the 30th?
What's your druthers?
I'll be gone the 30th, Alaska.
That means 23rd right now. So if we have this on the 23rd, Bud, will you come?
I will.
It's your book about the dog, so you really
I
should.
know.
Okay, 23rd.
Are you guys
book
okay
club.
to do it on the 23rd?
I am.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm good.
Right. I'm putting it in green pen, which is sanctuary colors. Okay.
Why you said the 19th? Sorry.
So July is the 26th.
26.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's the fourth one normally.
That's good.
In the meantime, pray for us. We are hard at work designing CLM to go online for this fall, and also working on our cookbook cover art and getting our cookbook stuff in place.
July party.
And
And that
we're
too.
working. When we're not with you, we're working our butts off. Okay.
Okay.
Yay. Thank you for coming,
Yay.
everybody.
Thank you.